So first of all, this week is on staying present. And it is, put a little comic thing in there, kind of funny. Just in terms of moments of reflection, I mean, how is the course going for you? And I know, obviously, Timothy, you are our only speaker this week.
Oh.
So just, I mean, we were discussing it a bit earlier, but just briefly, just how do you find the course has been treating you?
Yeah, I'm following the order of things. You can see there's a structure to it, and I've kind of, some of the things I've gravitated to more than others, I think.
Like, in what respect? Which things?
Just some of the practices I preferred to others.
Okay.
So
I think today you might find you get a lot more sort of benefit from the some of the meditations we do today.
Yeah.
Do you find there's any changes you think would make this program better? Is there anything which you run a bit differently, or?
No, I think it's fine. I think just maybe the start off point, like if people come, if they're going to come promptly and you know, kind of be ready to go, because I've got a child I'm on my own with. I've got to do other things as well, so sometimes I think I'm wishing it would start sooner. That's all, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we started 10 minutes. I think one of the issues could be maybe it's too early for people. But so I mean, we're going to stay at 6 o'clock for the rest of this course. So I mean, we'll always do it for you. And obviously, I'm putting them out on YouTube. But it's just interesting to hear people's opinions and what they think. So I might obviously. You're right, though. It's good if people turn up promptly. But I think once this course is a paying course, people will turn up because they paid for it. Whereas most of these guys haven't paid. So they just sort of pick it up when they can and if they do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for that. So we are now, at the end of this, we're going to be halfway through the course. And as you hopefully will have found out by now, the first half has been geared towards sort of teaching you what mindfulness is all about and the sort of process of paying attention to something, understanding that your mind will wander off, but then acknowledging it, accepting it, and then bringing your attention back to the present moment. So the second half of the course is going to be more about cultivating the attitude of acceptance. Now, mindfulness and acceptance go hand in hand. And we'll be working more with the difficulties that arise within our lives in the second half of the program and how acceptance of these things can help us to move forwards. Now, it was mentioned last week, I don't know if it's you, Tara, or not, but one of you has done the mindful walking. Have you done that?
Oh, yeah, I've done it a lot, yeah.
So, and I think other people have messaged me to say that they've done it before. And we will be doing mindful walking in this session, which I'm pretty sure you will definitely sort of get benefits from.
Yeah.
But before we start the mindful walking, I want to first guide you in a sitting meditation, which will help focus your attention on yourself before sort of combining it with the walking. So before I start, obviously, the sitting meditation, we're going to go through these 6 different categories to focus on. Obviously, the body, breath, sounds, thoughts, feelings, and choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness. So basically, just awareness of like when a plane flies over, or when a car honks its horn, or an ambulance. You know, you have no choice. You're going to hear that. That's just your awareness of these things, and it's how you sort of deal with them and how you acknowledge them and observe them differently. Obviously, when it's something which a lot of times I certainly know that if I'm trying to sleep and an ambulance roars past, I'll get annoyed. But then obviously it's about my awareness of it and how I react to it. And this is obviously starting with that. So now sitting meditation is, of course, it's practice in a seated posture. So either getting a chair or a cushion on the floor. But if that's uncomfortable, you can ideally practice this meditation in any posture that's right for you. So can you just turn off any distractions that might interfere with the concentration? I think it's fine to leave you on because there's only you and there's no sounds coming out the back. Make sure you guys are wearing comfortable, loose clothing and just practicing when the temperature is right for you, where you won't be disturbed. Now, if you are sitting on a chair, on a cushion, or on the floor, ensure you're sitting with your back relatively straight, but not rigid or uncomfortably upright. Just sitting with a sense of dignity and stability as far as you can. Okay, so just allow your hands to rest on your lap, perhaps with a cushion underneath it. Just sit with the qualities of a mountain, grounded, stable, and balanced. And just let your body relax as far as you can. There's no need to force yourself to relax. Just allow your eyes to close gently, or just simply look softly downward. Now, when you're ready, just becoming aware of the fact that you're breathing. Breathing is naturally happening all the time. Just becoming curiously aware of the natural sensation of your breath within your body. Just feeling the breathing wherever the sensation is most predominant for you. Just watching the beginning, the middle, and the end of each breath. Let's just slowly, just the beginning, the middle, and the end of each breath. Just slowly focusing on each breath. Now, each time your mind wanders to other thoughts, just kindly invite your mind back to whatever you're focusing on. To notice that your mind has strayed to other thoughts. And just by noticing it and then bring it back is a moment of mindfulness in itself. It is the nature of minds to think thoughts, and there's no need to criticize yourself. So every time you think a thought, notice it and bring it back. It's the strongest part of mindfulness. And so now, just expanding your awareness from your breath to your body as a whole. Just feeling your whole body here and now. Just noticing the weight of your body against the chair or the bed or the ground or wherever you're sitting. And the sense of temperature or the pressure, the touch of your clothes lightly against your skin. Just becoming aware of how some bodily sensations stay for a while and others stay for longer. Just getting a sense of the changing nature of sensations. Perhaps feeling with curiosity and kindness. If you notice a particularly intense sensation in your body, knowing it, you can slowly adjust your posture to help you manage the experience. Or you can move your attention towards the sensation, just opening up to the feeling of the sensation, just as it is. Just together with your breathing, if you find that helpful, holding the sensation with care and affection, and just being interested by the experience rather than judging it yourself. And then when you're ready, shifting your awareness from your breath and body to sounds. Noticing sounds both near and far. Just becoming aware of how sounds naturally arise and pass away. And yet your mindful awareness can be present throughout. Just allowing the sounds to come to you rather than trying to reach out. And if you can, listening without judging the sounds, but just accepting them as they are. And as I guide you through a sort of present moment experience, just notice how listening can happen by itself with almost no effort at all. You're just listening. Now, turning your attention from sounds to thoughts, just becoming aware of thoughts as they arise in your mind, allowing yourself to be open to your thoughts in the same way as you were open to sounds, just not being too concerned there's no thoughts or there's too many thoughts, just watching the changing nature of thoughts. You may like to imagine sort of placing your thoughts on clouds as they pass through the sky, and just watching without getting too involved in the thought themselves. I mean, if you can. Slowly watching thoughts go off on clouds. Now, when you're ready, moving your attention to emotions, to the emotion that is present for you right now. Noticing where in your body you feel this emotion. Just becoming aware of your tendency to cling to emotion judged as pleasant, like joy, or your tendency to resist or struggle with emotions judged as unpleasant, like fear or sadness. And noticing how all emotions are impermanent. They come and they go. And yet your awareness remains the same underneath them all, always available and present, observing and watching. And when you're ready, moving into an open awareness, a choiceless awareness, just becoming aware of whatever arises without making a choice, just being conscious of whatever's most predominant. Perhaps you notice sounds for a few moments, then you notice a body sensation and allow that to be the center of your attention. And then you're breathing, and choiceless awareness. There's no wrong or right here, just being open and aware to what arises. So letting your awareness be spacious, receptive, limitless, effortless, free, open to all your experiences, being the observer, the witness, just without getting too caught up in anything. Even just for a few moments, just being as you are. Now bring this meditation gently to a close by turning your attention back to your breathing. So take one breath in, back to your body. Just feel the way you're sitting. Feel the weight of your shoulders, your arms resting on your lap. Knowing that you've taken a powerful step to be fully present in your daily life, just to nourish and care for yourself, so you can make clearer, conscious choices for the well-being of yourself and those around you. So if you've closed your eyes, just slowly open them. And just bring yourself back into the room. Okay, so now we've reached the end of the sitting meditation. I'd just quite like to hear some of your thoughts on how you found it and how it made you feel. So I'm afraid it's just you, Tamitha.
I felt really, really tired all of a sudden. My eyes were just watering. When I shut my eyes, my eyes just started watering like really badly. And I went through the various stages, but my thoughts kept popping in at different points, but I was able to come back to what I was meant to be thinking about. I think the choiceless awareness bit was interesting for me. It's just to kind of sit there and have all the different internal and external things.
Yeah.
I can't explain it very well, but you know, the attention just flowing between different things without me guiding it anywhere. It was quite nice. I've never really done that before.
Oh, that's good.
That one, yeah.
And so, I mean, the purpose of, this is, and as I've just put the slide up, of being mindful of sounds and then thoughts and then choiceless awareness. It's about decentering yourself from obviously everything you're so used to just being surrounded by, and it just changes your relationship to thoughts and inner space.
Yeah.
And as it says, beyond thinking and doing to being mode. So it's I quite like how you sort of found a liking towards the choiceless awareness.
Yeah.
So it's quite an interesting thing, that, and it's good to be given to know about it before it happens, being told about it, and then something, because it's something which happens all the time, and then you have the opportunity to observe it now that you know that it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So one of those things. Right. So the pleasant and unpleasant events calendar. So my star student hasn't really done this, has she?
I have had an exceptionally busy week or so. So yeah, I do apologise, but I just haven't been able to do it. I've gone through with the roller coaster for sure in real life, but I haven't documented that.
And no, I don't know if Phil has done it or not, but hopefully people who come onto YouTube have done it and see it. But anyway, I'm just going to talk a little bit about it, and then how things can happen. And I'm still going to ask you questions, because you don't have to have written them down. I'm sure you'll remember some things which sort of didn't, and obviously if you can't, don't worry at all.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, obviously you didn't write it down, but I'd like to just hear how you've been getting on with tasks of pleasant, unpleasant over the last few weeks and how you've been dealing with them. So I guess, have you been more mindfully aware of obviously pleasant and unpleasant things, or have you literally just not thought about it at all?
Well, I've been aware.
Okay, so I mean, let's start with pleasant things. So firstly, I mean, have you noticed any sort of pleasant things? And it doesn't matter if it's like a significantly amazing thing like winning the lottery. It can be absolutely anything.
Yeah, just nice things people have done. As I said, I told you I work with children, so little things that they say and little things that they've done over the week, and the sunshine, when the sunshine's come out, the different flowers that are coming out,
Oh, yeah.
nice smells when we're walking around, stuff like that.
And do you find yourself, you're actually noticing these things more? You make a conscious effort to notice?
I'm kind of, because I do it anyway, because I have got aspects of like a mindful lifestyle anyway. I do make a point of noticing that. I've had phases where I keep like a gratitude diary.
Oh, brilliant.
And this year I haven't started it. I mean, we're in March now and I haven't, but last year I did one for virtually the whole year. With a few little blips, but yeah, mostly I did it. And I think it's nice to just be able to really be grateful when I'm doing the lessons with the children as well. I've talked to them about to be getting presents all the time, to have a lovely life. You don't have to have every toy that you want or whatever else, and it applies to us equally as adults. You know, it doesn't have to be huge things to derive happiness from things, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got an incredible attitude there, and I presume you're with your son, you're sort of passing it on to him.
Yeah.
But I love the way how you just noted, and it's something which I have as well, because it is like with the email I sent you earlier. You know, you noticed the spring. I think spring is by far the sort of, I would say, one of my favorite seasons, because everything is slowly coming into sort of life. Things are flourishing, like all the buds are coming out. The smells are amazing. So spring smells, and just being, so I think this is the perfect time to really notice that. So of the pleasant events, I think that is probably the number one thing. So that's really incredible. So thank you for noticing that.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I mean, noticing these pleasant things in these situations, did you react to them any differently to how, I mean, obviously if you're mindfully or blissfully unaware of them, you're not going to react to them at all. But I mean, do you have a sort of, I mean, you can react in any way, just think, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good day. Just give you like
smiling to things as well. Yeah. We were walking to school this morning, and my son was the same. We went through a little passageway between the blocks of flats where we live, and there's this garden, and all the cherry blossoms are out, and there's like a little fountain, like a little pond thing.
Oh yeah.
He was just like, wow, you know, we're not quite late, but we didn't have time to stop and you know stay and enjoy it. But just the fact of walking through this little passageway and coming upon that on the way to school, you know, is really nice.
And your son noticed it over you?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I did as well, but he said it out loud. Yeah. And we often we're walking around here because we live where there's a lot of trees and a lot of green spaces. So all the smells and everything at the minute, it's just amazing. You turn a corner and there's one lovely smell, and you turn around another corner and it's something else, you know. So yeah, I derive a lot of my pleasure from nature, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's where, certainly at this time of year, because it's only going to get stronger and stronger over the next few weeks. So I think I'd quite like, so everyone who's listening on YouTube, when you hear this, I think it would be a really good way just to go outside and just notice the pleasant sort of sights and changes that spring is bringing, because it's just such a great way to just be mindfully aware of a pleasant event which is happening all the time. So that's really good. So definitely more. So if we can move on to any particular unpleasant event which you might have become aware of or observed.
One quite petty one, but quite annoying one was I'd bought something from a shop about a week ago, and at the weekend I went to take it back, and the people in the shop, it's not the normal staff. I've been shopping in this shop for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And all of the normal staff weren't there. They were all different ones. I went to take it back, and the man was like, "Do you have your receipt?" And I said, "Probably, I'll have a look." So I was having a look, I couldn't see it. And he said, "Well, if you haven't got your receipt, I can't do anything." And then I was like, right, well, you know, I bought it exactly a week ago, because I only go to this particular area when my son goes to do this thing on a Saturday. So I knew exactly when I bought it. I said, "You could check your own records as well on the till. You could bring that up on the computer or whatever," but he wasn't having that. And then he was saying, and then I did find the receipt. I pulled my whole purse out on the counter. You know, I was thinking, oh, this is ridiculous, but I just pulled it all out, got the receipt, and I said, "There you go. You can see it's what I said, and I paid for it. What I said, I paid for it, and all this." It was like an oil which was rancid, and then he was saying, "Well, I'll have to speak to my manager, but my manager's not here. Can you come back on Monday?" And I said, "No, I can't, because I don't come here on a Monday." Then he was like, "Well, I'll try and phone someone." He tried to phone 5 different people while I was standing there. All the other customers were like looking at me, and then he got through to someone. Then she must have been saying to him how much has been used. He was holding it up to the light to like see how much oil had been taken out of it. And I said, "Literally, I put 1 spoonful in my mouth and spat it in the sink. That's why I've brought it back, because it's in date, but it's rancid." Yeah. And it just went on and on and on. And then it was like he wasn't believing me. Eventually I just said, "You know, I've been a customer at the shop for so long." I was trying not to get really, you know, angry with him. So I was just saying, I've been shopping at the shop for a long time. You've just started here. Obviously, you know, you're supposed to give the customer the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, I've proved I bought it. Whatever else. He was going to give me the refund. So I gave him my card, and he did the refund, and then he said, "Can you sign here, please?" I signed, and he turned my card over, and the signature had rubbed off the back. So then he started looking at me like it wasn't my card and all of this stuff. So you can imagine it was completely ridiculous. It was like a bad comedy or something, you know. So I just had to look at it like that. I was so annoyed, and then I just had to look at it like it was kind of some kind of a bad comedy sketch.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to look at things like that. Is it almost is quite funny, because I mean, by the sounds of it, he's just started this new job, so he's trying to do everything right. He's trying to do everything right. So he's in his way, he's being mindful of his work, and then you come along and you're mindful of a situation which isn't actually how it's meant to be for you, especially the job. So it's quite interesting, but it's quite interesting to look at it objectively. So like mindfully from above, obviously seeing the way he's going about it, because I don't think he's doing anything wrong. He's doing everything he's told to do, because he's probably so young and early.
No, he wasn't young. It was so ironic, because
Oh, really?
in the end, he'd said, you know, he gave me the refund receipt, and I looked at the name on it, and I pulled out the other receipt, and I said, "You know what? It was even you who sold me that in the first place." You know. So, and he was like, by the end of it, he was really embarrassed. I didn't lose my temper or anything, but I just said, "This is absolutely ridiculous," you know. And I was going to complain, and I thought, you know what? It's just ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. I'm not even going to waste any time.
I think it's very good that you didn't lose your temper. So
well, it was really embarrassing though, because you imagine all the people in the shop, they're queuing up waiting to be served, and he's taken forever, and then he was calling for a colleague to come, and then it was all still going on while the people in the queue were getting served, so they were listening in on everything. But it was like they didn't trust that I'd bought it there. They didn't trust that I hadn't used it all and was trying to get a refund for an empty bottle or something. It was just bizarre. The whole thing was just totally bizarre. But yeah, I was glad in the end that I hadn't reacted, rather than, I just had to keep going through and say, well, I don't find this correct. I find this ridiculous. Whatever. I could express myself without it becoming, like an antagonistic situation. But I think he would think about it afterwards as well. Especially, as I said, I was probably going to complain and then I didn't. He'd been probably spending a few days thinking, oh, what's going to happen now? And I haven't, but I know he'll probably think the next time someone comes in with a similar situation, But I think you can try and avoid things escalating to where they don't need to be.
But it's quite interesting, your thought process, like the difference between like the pleasant and the unpleasant, because you've been thinking through this a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's a really good story, actually, a really good thing to bring to this. And just how exactly did you, react to the difficulty of this thing? Other than, you obviously tempered your tantrums.
Yeah. I could feel myself getting a bit impatient. I could feel myself getting irritated. And I recognised that I was.
But do you find this recognition came from mindfulness?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And so
you can kind of feel it in your body. I was a bit embarrassed because I was not in the wrong, and then I had kind of people looking at me as if I'd done something dishonest or something like that. Whereas actually I was quite within my rights to bring something back that was unsuitable for sale.
Yeah, it's quite good.
I had all the documentation and all of that, and it was even to the point that there were questions whether that was my card, and I was having to say, why would I be wanting to get a refund on a card that wasn't mine? I've obviously bought it in the first place with my PIN number. None of it made any sense to me, really.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a very good situation. I think you dealt with it sort of as mindfully as possible.
Yeah, or it could have gone completely the other way, I suppose. It depends when someone catches you as well. If they've caught you, and you were talking about this the other week, I think, where you might have a combination of different things. It was your own mood combined with the circumstances, combined with an event, or all those things combined, the outcome can be very different unless you kind of keep a handle on yourself, really.
You do, and it's very hard for a lot of people, and it's very hard when you start trying to sort of implement a mindful lifestyle, of always remembering that, I should be mindful about this. I should be mindful.
I don't always, for sure. I don't always.
No, I don't think anyone does. Like I definitely don't, and I think even sort of the gurus of the world don't at times, and definitely my biggest issue would be with driving.
That's like my father's like that. He's got like they have a bad temper when it comes to driving.
Yeah, and it shouldn't, because when once I've done it, I'm like, why would I have got angry about that? It's amazing how when you're driving, it puts you in a completely different frame of mind.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something which I need to work on more. But I wrote about it in my book, like being mindful and driving and everything. But it's interesting because you've got to be mindful about what's going on and how you react to it. And I think you definitely were in that situation. So I think it's a really good story. So thank you very much for saying that.
You're welcome.
Just finally, how did you find the awareness of this situation made you feel, as opposed to it before maybe being mindful, or did you feel better off knowing that you were sort of observing the situation sort of from a different perspective, mindfully, knowing that you could have reacted in a completely different way, but you were
I could feel that I was getting drawn into reacting, when the different aspects of it were coming together. I could feel that I was really getting annoyed, and then I just thought, I don't want to have some kind of it's embarrassing enough. I don't really want to get into a more embarrassing situation. I was just watching how it was going to unfold, really. And because I knew I was in the right, that I wasn't doing anything that I shouldn't have been doing, that their processes were not really customer focused and all of that. I could just think of it like that. But yeah, it was just watching it unfold, and it was by the end of it, it just was so ridiculous. I couldn't even be angry with it. It was just beyond ridiculous.
Well, you did well, and it made for a very good story on the Mindfulness 8-week course show. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for those thoughts. And we will now move to mindful walking, which you've done before, haven't you?
Yeah, I do it a lot.
Okay, so should be good. But so this is for everyone listening for YouTube as well. Just I will obviously make this as easy to follow as possible. So the joy of this exercise is that you can do it absolutely any time. You don't need to be quiet or in a sitting down in a room, whatever. You can do it any time when you're walking, and whether it's to work, to a shop, to pick up kids, just absolutely whatever you're doing. So mindfulness is not just about being still, as you will have found out from last week's tasks and things. You don't need to be outside for this exercise, so just use a big space that will allow you to walk in a few paces up and down. So just in your room with your computer, whatever, just so you can walk up and down for a few paces even. Now, walking meditation is very similar to sitting meditation. Awareness is the key. Now, the idea is to stay in the present moment and notice what arises with a sense of curiosity, gentleness, and acceptance. Now, normally, when you're walking, you're probably focusing on where you want to go. But in walking meditation, the focus is more on where you are rather than where you want to be. So the emphasis is also on experiencing whatever is present for you, rather than sort of it's what you want from the experience. The benefit of walking meditation is that you can integrate the practice as you walk in your daily life. So if you find sitting or lying still too challenging, then you may find the practice of walking meditation and mindful walking the easiest avenue to explore the art of mindfulness. So practicing in a room or your local green space, but as you become more skillful, you can practice the meditation anywhere and at any speed you like. So the guided walking meditation is sort of very slow and mindful. So practicing walking meditation before sitting can also help to increase the quality of your attention. So to begin this period of walking meditation, first of all, can you all stand up, please? Just make sure you can still hear my voice coming out of your computer. And just stand on the spot. Just being aware of your weight being transferred through the soles of your feet into the earth. And just being aware of all the subtle movements that go on in order to keep us balanced and upright. Now, very often we take for granted our ability to be able to stand upright. But actually, it took us a couple of years to learn how to do this. So just be aware of the constant adjustments that you're making in order to maintain your balance. So when it comes to walking, then you begin to walk at a fairly slow but normal walking pace and in a normal manner. Just walking, and then just walk up your room and turn as soon as you hit a wall or something. Try not to hit the wall. And then back again, just slowly walking. We're not going to change the way we walk. We're simply going to be aware of it. Just slowly walking up and down the room. Just being aware of any obstructions in your path whilst mindfully walking at a natural pace. So continue walking, but now this next part is about awareness of your body. So first of all, focus your attention to the soles of your feet, just being aware of the alternating patterns of contact and release. Just being aware of your foot as the heel first makes contact, as your foot rolls forward onto the ball and then lifts and travels through the air. Be aware of all the direct, different sensations in your feet, not just a contact in the soles of your feet, but the contact between the toes and the feeling of the inside of your shoes, the fabric of your socks. And just let your feet be as relaxed as you can. Now become aware of your ankles. Just notice the qualities of the sensations in these joints as your foot is on the ground, as your foot travels through the air. And just let your ankle joints be relaxed. Make sure you're not holding on in any way. You can become aware of your lower legs, your shins, your calves. You can be aware of the contact with your clothing. Just be aware of the temperature on your skin. You can be aware of the muscles. Notice what the calf muscles are doing as you're walking. You might even want to exaggerate for a few steps what the calf muscles are doing, just so that you can connect with that. And then just let your walking go back to a normal, relaxed rhythm, encouraging your calf muscles to be relaxed. Now, become aware of your knees. Just notice the quality of the sensations in your knee joints. And expand your awareness up to your thighs, just being aware of the skin. Again, the contact with your clothing and the temperature. Just being aware of the muscles and noticing what the muscles on the front of the thighs and the muscles on the back of your thighs are doing. And once more, you might just want to walk a few paces just to exaggerate what those muscles are doing. You just exaggerate the action of those muscles and then letting your walk go back to a normal rhythm. Now moving up from your knees, just become aware of your hips, the muscles through your hip joints, and relaxing those muscles. Just really relax them. And even when you think you're relaxed, just relax some more. Just notice how that changes your walk. Relaxing. Just notice how the rhythm and the gait of your walk change as your hips relax. Just relaxing your hips. You can be aware of the whole of your pelvis and notice all the movements that are going on in your pelvis. One hip moves forward, then the other. One hip lifting, the other sinking. You can be aware of the complex three-dimensional shape that your pelvis is carving out through space as you walk forwards. The lowest part of your spine, your sacrum, is embedded in the pelvis. So as you feel your spine expanding upwards, the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, you can notice how it moves along with the pelvis. Your spine is in constant motion. It's swaying from side to side. There is a twisting motion around the central axis. Your spine is in constant, sinuous, sensuous motion. Now from the spine, turn it around, notice your belly. You might even feel your clothing in contact with your belly and notice how your belly is in the center of your body. Very often it feels like it's down there because we are so much in our heads. So seek to what extent you can feel your belly in the center of your body as the center of your being. Notice your chest and just let your breathing happen. Just notice the contact that the chest makes with your clothing. Noticing your shoulders. Notice how they're moving with the rhythm of your walking. Let your shoulders just be relaxed, and let your shoulders passively transmit the rhythm of your walk down into your arms. And having your arms simply hanging by your sides and swinging naturally. And notice all emotions in your arms. Your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands. And just feel the air coursing over the skin on your hands and fingers as your arms swing through the air. So now become aware of your neck and the muscles supporting your skull. Notice the angle of your head. Notice that as you relax the muscles on the back of your neck, your chin slightly tucks in and your skull comes to a point of relax and balance. You might want to play around with the angle of your head and see how it changes your experience. You might notice that when you tuck your chin close into your chest, your experience becomes darker and more emotional. That you're more inward turned, somber. And if you lift your chin and hold it in the air, you might notice that your experience becomes much lighter, that you become much more aware of the outside world and perhaps caught up in the outside world. You're much more aware of your thoughts, caught up in your thoughts, and then bring your head back to a point of balance, your chin slightly tucked in. Just relax your jaw, relax your eyes. Just let your eyes be softly focused, gently looking ahead, not staring at anything, not allowing yourself to be caught up in anything that's going on. So as we move past the physical things to your feelings, now you can be aware of the feelings that you're having, and not in terms of emotions here, but just the feeling tone. Are there things that feel pleasant? Are there things that feel unpleasant in your body or outside of you? So if you notice things in your body that are unpleasant or pleasant, just notice them. Don't either cling on to them or push them away, but just notice them. And if you notice things in the outside world that are either pleasant or unpleasant, just allow them to drift by. Just noticing them to drift by without following them or averting your gaze from them. So from feelings, thoughts and emotions, you can notice your emotional state. Are you bored? Are you content? Are you irritated? Are you feeling very happy to be doing what you're doing? Again, just noticing whatever emotions happen to be present. And notice your mind also. Is your mind clear or dull? Is your mind busy or is it calm? Are you thinking about things unconnected with this practice? Or do whatever thoughts that you have center on what you're doing right now. Just notice these things with no particular judging. Just notice them. Just slowly continue walking, just noticing everything which I've covered in the last sort of 5-10 minutes. Focusing on things, observing things, how your body feels, how your mind is. So in a few seconds, I'm going to ask you to stop. And I'd like you to come to a natural halt. So you're not freezing on the spot, you're just allowing yourself to come to a stop. So do that now. Come to a stop. and just experience yourself standing. Just notice what it's like to be no longer in motion. Notice once more the complex balancing act that's going on to keep you upright. Feeling once again the weight traveling down through the soles of your feet into the earth, simply standing and experiencing yourself, and finally bringing this meditation session to a close. Just slowly bring your attention away from your walking and out again. So how did you find that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've only got a very small space.
So there's lots of
where I live.
Lots of turning around.
Yeah. I was kind of going out into the corridor and coming back into the living room. I've got a rug and I've got some wooden floorboards as well, so I was like feeling the difference between those. I felt more balanced on the floorboards than I did when I was on the rug.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was good to go from the soles of the feet, just kind of all the way up the body. I like that way.
Have you done it? Because it's quite similar to the body.
The position of the head. Yeah, I quite like that. It was in motion though. It's quite good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a way. I find it definitely helps people to sort of concentrate more on their. Obviously, so many different things to be mindful of at the same time, but it's obviously the movement along with all the different body parts.
Yeah,
it's a good way. And then moving to the feelings and the thoughts and emotions. Yeah. How did you find that bit? I mean, I don't think many people have done the feelings and the thoughts and emotions with this exercise. Did you find that interesting?
Yeah, I found the interesting part where you were talking about the angle of the head, kind of having the head down or having the head up, feeling differently. You actually do. I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah, when people say, "Oh, chin up," keep your chin up or whatever, it made me think of that.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Naturally, you felt just lifted when you brought your head up a little bit. Your spirit felt a bit lifted as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Right. So now we are going back to the breathing space, which we've covered this a few times. So I think I taught you a 3-minute breathing space last week and also in the first week.
Yeah.
Which I hope you managed to recreate for yourself a few times in home practice, which you said you have been doing it, which is very good.
Yeah. The morning one, I found that the only way I would actually do it in that way was if I did it as soon as I woke up.
Yeah. I mean, that's
so like the minute I realised I was awake, then I just thought I better do it now. So I was making sure I did it every morning. That's the only one that's been consistent actually, is the morning one. The midday and the evening ones have been a bit
few and far between.
Patchy. Well, I've done kind of maybe half of the midday ones and half of the evening ones.
Yeah. Okay.
But I found that it was really easy to do the morning one if I just did it as soon as I knew I was awake.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way. I definitely, I mean, I always, as soon as I wake up, I will always meditate for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I find it sort of sets me up for the day, which is good. But, and obviously, I know with having children, things change.
For sure.
So, but it's very good that you can do this. And obviously, it's only a 3-minute space, so it's quite good.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm sort of promoting it so much, and this is like the third time I've mentioned it, and obviously talked about it, is because it is such a simple exercise, and it's really easy to conduct, and it also has such formidable effects of grounding you in the present moment with whatever situations you might be experiencing. So I mean, obviously doing it in the morning, but it would have been interesting to see how you had done it after you had your sort of unpleasant experience with the guy who was having none of your returning an item.
Yeah, I didn't think to do it then because I came out of that shop and it was like about a minute's walk to be in where I was meant to be. I was meant to be somewhere else doing a rehearsal for something.
Oh, definitely. So, no, I mean, it's so hard.
Yeah, but when you say that, no, if I'd had time, I would have done that. Yeah. I actually managed to do it in the staff room at work, though. I did it at one of the lunch times. I did it in my room a couple of times. I've got like a little office stroke classroom. And then I did it. I actually managed to do it in the staff room when there was a room full of people there. So that was interesting because I've never done that before, unless everyone else has been trying to do meditation at the same time.
But I mean, I'm sure everyone knows you're quite mindful meditator.
Yeah, so, I do sessions for the staff sometimes, but I just felt like if I don't do it now, I'm probably going to forget. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to ask me for something, or you know, I'll remember I'm meant to be preparing a particular thing or whatever. So I just did it where I was, rather than looking to find the conditions to do it.
I think that's really good for you.
Yeah, and it was interesting.
If people could sort of step away from, because it's sort of the fear of what people think people will think. You know, it's just, and it's not a sort of normal thing to be seen doing, even though it's a very natural way to calm yourself down. But you know, people are just so much more interested in seeing people just being on their phone or just doing something which everyone else does. But I think it's time to sort of set a new trend and just show the world that mindfulness and meditating is not actually a altogether bad thing to do. Well, it's not a bad thing at all, but they might think it is. Which is there.
Nobody commented on it, but nobody bothered me either, you know. It was fine.
Yeah, and do you find, I mean, the beauty of this thing is that it helps people cope with difficult emotions or situations, and it helps to practice being present and aware of the emotions that are stepping, you know, which people are stepping back from. So when you encounter a difficult situation, just become aware of it by noticing your bodily sensations or your thoughts or your feelings. And this very act of intricately observing your inner and outer self allows you to reach a state of acceptance that will either lull or desist whatever situation is that is causing you discomfort. Now, this is for everyone on YouTube, so I assume you all have the link to last week's session. If not, just let me know. Just message me. Can you? I don't know how. You can message me on. I think everyone's from Find the People Helpful Peeps thing. So message me on that, or you can message me at tim@timinology.com. But obviously, if you don't have the link to last week's session, message me. But the breathing space meditation on there, I'm not going to do it now because we're coming to the end of the session. But get to 41 minutes in, and then there'll be the breathing space meditation if you want to sort of hear it again. And then just head on over to it, because it's actually going to be part of your home practice for next week. But I would like to think that if you have done it enough, you will hopefully be able to conduct it yourself without having to be guided. But it's always there if you have any troubles. So, home practice for next week. So you did the full sitting meditation earlier. So I'd like to do one of those daily, please. Or just as often as you can, but try to do it more, I mean, at least once if we get together next week. Breathing space, again, 3 times a day, but as many as you can. And breathing space for helping you to cope with any unpleasant events that you encounter. So you were saying, Tamitha, how it would have been quite interesting to see how you would have reacted to that if you had done the breathing space or I know it's hard to just go off and do breathing space, but maybe before you know a situation's going to get quite heated, do a breathing space before and see how you react to that. It would be quite interesting to see people's reactions and how they cope with it.
Yeah.
Be good. And then everyone who is listening on YouTube, I would love it if some more of you came next Monday, 6 p.m. It would be really good to have a few more people. Tamitha is amazing. She does a lot of chat, which is good. But maybe she doesn't want to chat all the time.
No.
But if more people can come. But this will obviously be out. I'll give a link out to everyone. Obviously, you will have seen the link because you'll be listening to it now. But I'm doing this every week. We're now halfway through the course. We've got 4 more weeks to go. And I hope as many of you can come next week as possible, because